Hello everyone and welcome back to another video from Homemaker. Before we start with our today's video, I would like to thank all our viewers who have liked and subscribed to our channel. If you are new to our channel, please don't forget to subscribe for our new releases every week. Okay, now let's start with our today's video. Today we are going to talk about care and propagation of Ctenanthe Setosa grey star. Make sure you stay with us till the end to know all about its care. Ctenanthe plants are famous for their striking foliage. If you plan to add this species to your houseplant collection, it will be an eye-catching showstopper. But bear in mind that it could need a lot of space to grow, as grey star setosas, they can easily reach up to a meter in height. And if you provide it with the right conditions that it needs, it's going to stay healthy and grow more bigger and wider. This is an evergreen clump-forming herbaceous perennial which has got large, thick leaves that feature the dark green and silvery grey stripes on the top, and it has got the distinctive purple shades on the bottom, as you can see here. How beautiful is that? Extremely different color. Look at the top of the leaf with all these beautiful variegations on it. It looks like someone has hand painted these leaves, isn't it? So beautiful. And the undersides is beautiful purple color. I love this plant. I love the leaves and the foliage of this plant. Look at the beauty, how green, how bright, attractive these plants look. Now the word setosa in their name refers to the hairy leaf stems that are found in this plant, as you can see here. The stem of this plant, can you see how hairy it is? So the word setosa means the hairy stems. They've got like hairs. Sorry, this leaf is coming in between. There. Ctenanthe setosas also produce flowers, white colored flowers, but they are basically insignificant. So these plants are actually known for their beautiful dramatic foliage rather than the flowers or anything. Ctenanthe grey star setosas, they are usually grown as houseplants, as indoor plants. But if you provide enough humidity, water and shady environment to this plant, it can thrive well in outdoor tropical type of climate garden as well. I'll show you my garden. In my garden I have got these Ctenanthe setosa grey star, and they have covered the whole corner of my garden. I'll show you. So here you can see this whole corner of my garden has been covered by these beautiful plants. And because it's outdoor, most of its leaves have turned yellow because they go through all the hot weather, cold weather, rainy type of climate. So that's why most of its leaves have turned yellow or have dried up like that. But they're really fast growing plants, and they look cute as well. So these plants can also be kept in the shady places like under the patio or a warm spot, somewhere in the containers. Like here, this one I have put it in the pot, so you can put them in containers as well. You can plant them directly in the soil outdoors, and they really cover up that whole place where you have grown them, because they give out offshoots, they give out offsprings, and they kind of cover that whole area. Alright, so now we will talk about the care of this plant. So these plants are very low maintenance plants, and they're very easy to take care of. Grey star setosas, they're also known as prayer plants or never plants. And these plants are actually native to the tropics of Central and South America. So because they belong to the tropical climate, so regarding the lighting conditions, too much of direct sunlight can fade the beautiful color on the leaves of this plant, and too much of the shade or low light condition can cause the variegations to disappear. So you need to be very careful with the amount of light or the intensity of light that you are providing to your grey star. So usually if you are keeping them indoor, provide them with the indirect bright light. So you can keep them near to the window, south facing, east facing, west facing window, which receives a lot of bright but indirect light, filtered light, so that you can enjoy the variegations of this beautiful plant. So next is the soil conditions. So these plants, when you are growing them indoor, make sure you provide them with the well draining potting mix. And because these plants come from the tropics, they love to be in the peaty rich soil, the soil that has got more of the peat moss, because these plants are humidity loving plants. These plants love moist soil. They don't like to be in dryness. If you provide them with any drought type of conditions, or their soil dries out, then you will see the direct effect on the leaves and on the plant. So basically you can add a little bit of perlite into your soil mix. Maybe I can say 70 to 30 ratio of peat moss and perlite and compost you can add to the soil. So perlite basically helps to remove the excess of water from the soil, and the peat moss will help to retain enough of moisture and nutrients for the plant to grow healthy. And compost, obviously it will provide nutrients to the plant. So I have provided a link from where I get my perlite. So you can check the link in the description box. Now we'll talk about the water conditions. So you must always make sure that Ctenanthe Setosa Grey Star receives the right balance in terms of watering. During the warm summer growing season, the soil should remain moist but not soggy at the same time. Watering them once in 2 weeks or once in a week is enough, but the best strategy is to check the soil. So if you feel that the soil is dry up to a knuckle, then water your plant. And if you feel that the soil is still moist when you touch the soil, then you can leave your plant for maybe a couple of more days and then again assess the soil before you water it. In winters, you can cut down the watering sessions even more, maybe once in 3 or 4 weeks, depending upon, again, the soil. But always make sure that the soil remains moist, especially during the growing season. In winters, it doesn't really matter, because in winters the leaves do not give out a lot of moisture, so They don't need a lot of water. Always make sure that you do not overwater your plant, because watering can cause root rot and the plant will die very, very quickly. So do not overwater your plant. You can, because these plants love humidity, so you can invest in a humidifier and keep the humidity levels up for this plant to be happy and growing well. If you don't have a humidifier, you can put your plant on top of a tray, a pebble tray with water in it. So when the water evaporates, the plant, the leaves and the plant receives that amount of humidity that's required for it. And you can also mist the leaves of your plant with water from time to time. That will also keep your plant healthy. They absolutely love moisture. If the air in your house is too dry, the leaves will start to curl up. If the temperatures are too high, the leaves will curl up. If the temperatures are too cold, the leaves will curl up. So these plants are very sensitive towards any changes, like extremes of hot or cold, or too much of dryness in the air. So these plants will tell you what they want. They kind of talk to you. They tell you, oh, it's too hot, keep us in a cool area, or it's too cold, give us some warmth, or it's too dry, we need some water. So it tells you every single change that it's going through. So next is fertilizing. So Ctenanthe Setosas, you can fertilize them with a weak liquid fertilizer once in a month, or you can also use a seaweed solution, maybe 3 ml of seaweed solution in 1 liter of water, and fertilize your plant once in a month during the growing season. In winters or autumn, they don't really need any fertilizing, but during the summer months, the growing months, spring and summer, fertilize them, and they'll show you their good health through this beautiful, attractive foliage. Regarding temperatures, so these plants, they love to be in a temperature between 60 to 80 degree Fahrenheit. Not too cold, not too hot, a moderate type of climate, like kind of a tropics kind of climate they love to be in. Do not keep your plants, the Ctenanthe plants, next to the window where the window or the door opens or closes very frequently, because the cold drafts or the hot air can cause damage to the plant, to the leaves of the plant. Do not keep your plant near the aircon vent or near the heaters, because again, as I said before, extreme change in temperature can cause drastic effects on your plant. Okay, so next is the toxicity. So these plants are supposed to be toxic, so you might need to keep them away from your plants and children, but they are not very toxic. Usually they contain chemical compounds like glycosides and alkaloid like horins. So these types of chemical compounds are toxic for especially young children. So just make sure that they don't nibble on your leaves, on the leaves of this plant. But it's not very toxic, like very harmful. But if you are sensitive, your children are sensitive, then you need to make sure that you keep it away from them, from the reach of children. Regarding pruning, you can prune the damaged leaf or the damaged foliage of these plants, or whatever part is damaged. If you remove them, then like this one here, usually when the leaves grow old, they tend to dry out and they get damaged like this. So what you need to do is you can use a scissor and just snip off the damaged foliage. So what will happen is when you remove those damaged leaves, all the plant's energy will be focused on the healthy leaves and the healthy foliage of this plant. So you can just prune the dead ends. So regarding the care of this plant, there is one thing that is very basic to every plant which has got this type of broad leaves. So one thing which is very basic is that always wipe down the leaves of your plant to remove all the dust from the leaves. Because obviously you don't want your plant to look dusty and ugly, because it doesn't give a very good look. If your plant leaves are nice, neat, clean, beautiful, they look nice, they look attractive, they add to the beauty of your indoor environment. But if your plants are dirty, if your leaves have got a lot of dust sitting on top of them, not only it looks unattractive, but also it affects the health of your plant. The plants cannot breathe properly because they transpire, they breathe through the leaves. So if there's a lot of dust sitting on them, they can't breathe properly, and it affects the health of your plant. So wipe down the leaves of your plant with a damp cloth to remove all the dust and to maintain the beautiful display of these dramatic leaves. Okay, next thing is pests. So these plants are very, very susceptible to mealybugs, aphids, scales, fungus gnats, spider mites, all sorts of those nasty creatures that you can find in indoor plants usually. So they're very susceptible to them. So you might need to keep an eye on your Ctenanthe Setosa to make sure that your plant is not affected by all those creatures. And if you are keeping your plant outdoors, then usually the slugs and snails, all those sorts of things, they will eat up the beautiful leaves of this plant and affect your Ctenanthe. So to get rid of all those pests, you can use soap solution, maybe 3 ml of shampoo or dishwash soap in 1 liter of water or 500 ml of water, and spray on each and every part of your plant, up part of the leaf, the downside of the leaf, on the stem, on every nook and corner of your plant during the evening, and then wash off your plant in the morning. Because in the morning the plants, the leaves, they are doing photosynthesis, and if there is all that soap and all those chemicals on top of the leaves, then it'll make your plant sick. So in the morning you wash off your plant, and in the evening again spray it till you get rid of all those pests. Neem oil solution is very, very effective in getting rid of all those pests. So neem oil solution in water, according to the concentration that is written on the usually the containers, you use that type of composition and you spray your plants, and they will definitely get rid of all those pests. Okay, so last but not the least, we'll talk about propagation. So these plants can be easily propagated through the stem cuttings, and they can also be propagated through the offshoots. So now basically, as I showed you outside my Ctenanthe Setosa, they all have propagated through the offshoots. So when your plant matures, it gives out the offshoots like this one over here. This one here. This is an offshoot, a new leaf that's coming up, and this is the shoot over here. So what you can do is you can just separate this baby from the mother plant and put it in a separate container with the same type of soil composition that I told you earlier, peat moss and perlite and compost, and that's it. And once the roots, usually in the offshoots you will have the roots. When you separate that plant from the mother plant, there will be roots in it. So all you need to do is just pop it into a separate container with soil, nutrition rich soil, and it will grow happily. They're very, very easy to propagate. No dramas at all with this plant. It's only that the temperature changes, the water changes will affect the plant. Otherwise, they're very easy plants. So this was about the propagation. When I'll make a video on how to propagate the Ctenanthe Setosa, then I'll show you clearly how you can take the cuttings for stem cutting and how you separate the offshoots. And I'll show you the clear propagation in that video. So friends, this was all about how to care about Ctenanthe Setosa Grey Star. I hope you enjoyed watching the video. If you have any information to share with us, any comments or queries, please leave your comments in the comment section and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel before you leave. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time with another exciting video. Till then, stay safe. Happy gardening. Bye-bye.